PhD to consulting, JD to consulting, MD to consulting. If you're an advanced degree candidate thinking about breaking into consulting, this episode is for you. Maybe you're not sure whether consulting firms hire advanced degrees. Maybe you know that some consulting firms hire advanced degrees, but you're not sure which ones in which locations. Or maybe you've decided that consulting is right for you, but you just want to know how to get from where you are to where you want to go. Stay tuned because this episode has all of that and more. Today, we'll break down three main things. First, why consulting firms hire ADCs. Second, the pathways to break in. And third, recruitment tips and tricks. Is consulting just for business administration, finance, economics majors? Well, it's a common misconception. A lot of people think that because you're translating insights to businesses, you have to have a background in business. But the reality is that there are many, many different kinds of businesses that could leverage your background and your skills. And in addition, there are many different skills that you have built that can be translated into multiple different kinds of businesses. Consulting firms are fundamentally human capital businesses. They take in potential in the form of human capital, train you and deploy you on a common set of problems across multiple different industries. Advanced degree candidates bring a lot of value to consulting firms. You're great at identifying problems. You're amazing at identifying solutions using data. And you're good at following a dedicated process until you come up with an answer. Let's give a few examples of types of candidates that are really attractive to consulting firms. First, let's think about JDs. If you're a JD or a lawyer, if you've gone through the great and rigorous training to become a lawyer and even practiced as a lawyer, you have the opportunity to identify weak spots in arguments, to figure out the data that will plug the holes, and to make strong recommendations. These kinds of analytical and articulation skills are very valuable for consulting firms. Let's say you're a PhD in sciences. In one of the science fields, you've had to identify a specific problem that no one has looked at before. So it has novel components. You have to break it down based on common pathways and then develop an innovative opportunity using data. Translating the data into actionable insights for your project is what helps you succeed, to get published, to present at conferences, and to make a difference for organizations that you work with. These skills are also super transferable into consulting. Finally, MDs are really attractive to consulting firms because you've developed a significant depth of knowledge in patient care as well as experience in hospital environments. Hospitals and healthcare organizations are some of the largest procurers of consulting services. And so not only do you have an understanding from a systems and an analytical perspective, but you also have experience that will really be valuable to the organizations that you work with. 15 years ago, ADCs were rare inside consulting, and usually they took another pathway to get in, like getting an MBA. But today, consulting firms have recognized the value of advanced degree candidates, and they've figured out how to develop specific pathways into consulting. Let's talk about what some of those key pathways are. The primary pathway firms have created to break into key consulting organizations is through what are commonly called bridge programs. Some of these core programs are McKinsey Insight, Bridge to BCG, and Bain Advantage. Usually, they happen in the spring where they'll do an application and often an interview. Then you'll be invited to a few days of experiential learning with the firm, either virtually or in person. And you'll often be fast-tracked for full-time interviews as well. Especially in competitive consulting recruitment cycles, it's incredibly important that you use the easiest pathway to break in because the firms will first look at the advanced degree candidates that come through their bridge programs. And if they have enough great talent from those programs, they do not continue to hire. That's why we recommend that you start with bridge programs first. Other firms, including LEK, Charles River, and Clearview, also offer bridge programs. If you're worried about missing deadlines, don't worry, we've taken care of that for you. A link in the show notes will provide the current application deadlines for every single one of these programs. And maybe more importantly, don't think that the application is easy or that these are not competitive. These are some of now the most fiercely competitive programs in the US and around the world. So make sure that you get a second pair of eyes on your application and you begin to prepare for the case interview, which will inevitably become a part of the process further down the road. The second kind of pathway is going through a specialist role. Many firms have expert level roles or specialist roles that focus on a key practice area or a key practice problem. Let me give an example. Let's say that you came from a neurosciences PhD and you were going to work inside a pharma practice that was focused on neurosciences or brain functions related to pharma. They would hire you in order to help them translate the ideas, in order to do the data, but you would have usually less of a client-facing role than you would traditionally. But hiring you not just for your potential in the skills, but also for your experience and expertise. This means that your interview process is often different, and many specialist roles are not hired through the bridge programs. Finally, there are generalist roles. Just go through the traditional hiring process. If you went to a school that is represented at firms already, if you have great experience outside of your academic work, if you're a JD who did maybe some private equity experience, or if you're a PhD who did some corporate experience, then you have a great resume and somebody likely would be interested in talking to you just for a generalist role. And that transition is possible. However, it's a little tricky to figure out which parts of your background to share. And if you have any gaps, we're super happy to take a look at your documents and tell you which of our programs can help you best break into consulting through the generalist pathway as well. Now you know why firms hire advanced degree candidates. You know how you could go from a PhD to consulting by using bridge programs, specialized programs, or just generalist interviews. But what are some of the tips and tricks that can really help you be successful in the process? Not just to know why they want you and to go to the right places, but also to be the one who is selected for the program or the interview. Well, let's break it down. First of all, networking is essential. You're an advanced degree candidate. You know that there are a variety of people with very different EQ levels in many different advanced degree programs. Somebody in your PhD may talk to somebody using 15 words a week. Somebody else may be incredibly social. Networking is a way to bring a human element to your story and to begin the translation process from your experience to what's possible in the future for a firm. Networking referrals are nearly essential for the bridge programs, and they're incredibly important as well for specialist and for generalist roles, especially as the consulting recruitment environment becomes so much more competitive. We have two key rules when you're thinking about how to network specifically for advanced degree candidates. First of all, network with people who have similar backgrounds or have already done what you want to do. People with similar backgrounds came from your school, focused on your area of expertise, and are in the office where you likely would be interested in working. And people who are where you want to go have gone through the bridge programs or broken into a specialist track directly from the program that you come from. They have a similar, not just background, but an actual experience and resume that would resonate with your history. In addition, it's really valuable to make sure that you network through the referral process. What do I mean by that? A lot of people network, they're kind, they jump on a quick call with you, and then at the end you say, thanks so much. No, at the end of every call as an advanced degree candidate, you need to ask one straightforward, polite, but very simple question. After this conversation today, would you feel comfortable referring me for an interview? If you do that, then you're able to translate not just a conversation, but also some action that can make a big difference for your application. We've edited hundreds of resumes when it comes to advanced degree candidates, and we've got a few rules there as well. First of all, you can submit a multiple page resume. However, your odds of success are lower. So any candidate that comes through and works with us in our program, our Black Belt program or our Super Prep program, to prepare for this kind of process, they have to get their resume down to one page. It's clarifying. It helps tell you what the most important things are. It helps you prepare for your stories, for your interviews, and it helps to present you in a concise and focused way. And we do that without removing any of the content, but usually just refocusing the core elements that the consulting firms want to see. Second, it's important to use layman's terms. Many of you will have come from backgrounds where if you were to pass your resume on to a PhD in something very specific, they would know exactly what you were talking about if you used acronyms. But here you have to translate the value, the real world value of the work that you've done. And so using layman's terms, how did it save cost? How does it increase efficiency? How does it increase revenue potential? What is the new revenue line from this product that you've helped develop? All of those are really important translation tools to explain the value of what you've done, not just the steps that you took to get there. Third, it's really important to make sure that you highlight a number in every single line. Many of you have data, but you're so focused on process that you really miss the ability to explain what the process included specifically so it can resonate clearly with somebody, or what the outcomes were measured in. And sometimes we find that adding a number in every line can slow someone down because they see a number and they want to decode the information around them. It's the most powerful way to make sure that not just your resume gets looked at, but the bullet points get read. Fourth and finally, one of the common assumed weaknesses of people from advanced degree programs is that you are not great at working in teams. Many times you come from competitive environments or very solo-oriented environments. And the firms want to see that you work in teams, that you liked it, and that you were good at it. They're going to ask you questions in your leadership essay that highlight this, but you also need to make sure that your resume focuses on these key areas as well. Finally, once you've got a great referral and you're ready with an awesome resume, you need to start preparing for the case interview. The case interview is a part of the process to break into bridge programs, to go into specialist programs, or to go into generalist programs. And so don't think by taking one pathway you're going to get out of the all-encompassing case interview, but embrace the process. Case interviews are a part of an amazing presenter inside consulting firms because you learn how to succinctly distinguish what information is valuable and what's not, how to create calculations for the future, and also how to make action-oriented recommendations. Case interviews, both within your field and outside, will be very important in the process. And it might take you 5 to 15 interviews to prepare. It could take you 50. It depends on where you're coming from and how much of a gap there is between where you are and where you need to go. In summary, this process is not for everyone. Some of you will enjoy the safety, the expertise, and the appreciation of people that are in the field that you've invested so heavily to become a part of. But the consulting field opens doors you may have never imagined, and we would love to help you walk through that first door to break into the consulting firm of your dreams.